Hey, I just wanted to share with you guys about an experience we had. Really, it's kind of over the last about 5 months, but we had been planning a thing we called the ConferReach, which was to get 100 people together and go door to door in Carrollton. And you kind of have to back up to about January. And a friend of mine and I, we were going down the street knocking on doors, sharing the gospel with people, and I came to this door, and it's a high school girl, and said, "Do you have any spiritual beliefs?" She's like, "Oh, we're Mormons." And so I started asking her a few questions about Mormon theology and which heaven she would go to and things like that, and she basically deferred me to the missionary. She said, to answer those questions, you need to speak to a missionary. And I said, okay. And she offered to take my number and have the missionary call me. So I gave her my business card and said, "You're welcome to have him call me." Normally they don't follow back up when in things that we've done with that. Normally I never hear from anybody, but we left her house, we went to the end of the street, came across the street, started coming back the other way, the phone rings, and it was the Mormon missionary. He said, this girl had contacted them, said I had some questions. And I was just in the midst of a lot of turmoil in my life. I just lost my job and trying to get different things together. So several months went by and we never did get a chance to meet with them. So as we were planning the ConferReach leading up to that, reached out, and we were trying, actually my pastor and I were going to meet with the missionaries, but we never could get all of our schedules to coordinate. And so when we finally got this agenda together for the ConferReach, we were going to go out in the morning and into the afternoon just doing street witnessing in Dallas. And then I thought, well, we need something inside where it'd be cooler. So we invited the missionaries to meet us, and they did. And we had about an hour-long conversation with them, and shared the truth of the gospel with them. And we uncovered some things, specifically that they think that Jesus and Satan are brothers, and that we're all all people and everything are God's children. And we pointed them to John 1:12, and we pointed them to Romans 8, which indicates that only those who have faith, those who receive Jesus, they talked about how there has to be a living prophet, even though we could point them to Luke 16 that says that John was the last prophet, Hebrews 1 that says the times of the prophets had passed, things like this that we talked to them about. Well, anyways, we had a conversation. We agreed to talk some more in the future. And then we went door to door. We had 20 people come join us door to door on that Friday night. The next day we went door to door in a totally different part of town from where we had this meeting. Totally different part of town where we'd gone door to door that night before. And there were 5 of us. We're out knocking on doors, and basically the last house we come to, my friend is going down one side of the street. Another guy and I were on the other side of the street. I go up to the door, and we're talking to a woman who was a Catholic in the process of converting to Jehovah's Witness. And we're explaining to her, the issues with the Jehovah's Witnesses and how their false beliefs of the scripture. When I look over my shoulder, and those same 2 Mormon missionaries go walking down the street. And I was just like, those are the same missionaries we just talked to. And so we wrapped up the conversation. We came down to the sidewalk, and just then my friends, 2 other friends that were with us, they pulled up in my friend's truck. They get out, and one of those 2 had been with me the day before talking with the missionaries. And so we're like looking at each other going, "Did you see that's the same 2 missionaries?" So we look, and there was another friend, Arnold, and he was the one going down the street. We look and we don't see the missionaries, we don't see Arnold. And so it turned out that Arnold had gone to the end of the street, came back up to the house next to where we were. The guy that owned that house was a Christian, had invited him in, so he's inside the house when knocking on the door, and Arnold says, "Oh, that must be my friends." And they open the door, and there's the 2 Mormon missionaries. So they come in. Now it's Arnold, the guy who owns the house, the 2 missionaries in this house. Well, we didn't know any of this, right? So meanwhile, there's 4 of us out in the front yard here. 2 of us had met with them the day before, 2 of us hadn't. And so we send the 2 who hadn't met with them the day before up to that door. And door opens, they go in, and then a few minutes later, Arnold comes back out, and we're just like, wow, I mean, how God orchestrated this entire thing. And so we end up, the three of us who had witnessed to them the day before, praying in this guy's front yard, while three other Christians sharing the gospel with them. And that was how our ConferReach ended, so we knew that God had orchestrated all that. So I wanted to share that with you guys, and I hope you're encouraged by that story.